is SSLFamilyDad with Simple Suburban Living, and today we're going to be doing a chicken coop. Hopefully you can hear me with the wind. I'm going to be building a fairly simple chicken coop here. It's a 4x4 chicken coop. It's going to be raised about 2 feet off the ground, and then it'll have an 8-foot run in front of it, 4x8 just chicken run in front of it. So we'll go through just step by step, and I'll show you some of the progress here as we go along. So the first thing I did here was just clear the land, about a 4x4 area. So we leveled out a pad here to put the main part of the chicken coop on, and I covered them up here, but I've got these. You can see the end of it. These are little patio stones, these little bricks. I had a bunch of extra of these when I got our pool. They're like a 6x12 little stone. So I'm just using those to set the posts on and just kind of make a level footing for this. The chicken coop itself isn't going to be too heavy. I'm not worried about it blowing away. It's in a kind of protected corner back here. I've got trees and the fence around it, and it'll be heavy enough to stay on the ground for sure. And but I want to be able to move this in the future if I need to, so I'm not putting the posts in the ground or anything. But so I decided to go a little bit higher off the ground than 2 feet, about 30 inches off of those pads that I put in. And all I did was just do a 2x4 frame around the bottom and around the top to keep everything square and make sure everything was level. And then I just threw a 4x4 piece of plywood on the top here to make the bottom of the actual coop. So next thing we're going to do is start framing in the walls. I'm going to have a door on one side and the chicken boxes in the back side here, and I'm going to do a little clean out system for it, and we'll have the door that the chickens come in and out of here in the front, so you'll kind of see that once I get it put together. But so next step is moving on to the walls, and I'll show you those once I get them up. Alright, so we got 3 of the walls up here. This will be the front side, or the tallest edge, and there'll be a big door here to get in and mess with things, get in and out. And then along the bottom here, this gap I left along the bottom, this is going to be where it'll be a tray. There'll be a little door that'll come up, and then I'll have a tray that'll pull out the whole bottom of the coop, so we can clean it and put new bedding in, and then put the whole tray back, so we don't have to get in there and do too much messing around. The back wall here, I still have to finish. This will be the nesting boxes, and then there'll be a window above them, and just be a sloped roof. Let's see if I can get back far enough here. Get from this angle. This will be the front. That little door in the middle there is where the chicken door will be, where they'll come in and out, and I'll have a little walk that goes down to the ground, and the roof will be slanted this way, and then I'll just put some bracing in between once I get the rafters put up. I'm going to just notch out some 2x4s and put them across, and then do a metal roof on top of that. So once I get the nesting boxes all finished up in the back here, and we'll show you the progress on that, and then we'll go on and do the roof. Alright, so I've got all the walls up here at this point, and I've got most of the nesting box on the back here done. I'm going to do a little bit more framing in here just to beef that up, and when I put the lid on it, so there'll be a lid right on the top here that'll open up, and then I'm going to probably put just a little window ledge right in here, so just have a small vent here where we can get a breeze through from the door on the other side. And I also put, get you out of the sun here, I also put some roofing joists on here, and I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'll probably put a couple blockers in between each joist just to make sure those stay sturdy, but I'm just going to throw a piece of plywood on the top of those, and then I've got some corrugated roofing we'll throw up there on top of those as well. And a lot of this lumber I actually been getting from Home Depot, and they've got a bin of scrap wood that they keep, stuff that's been split or doesn't look good or is bowed or bent, and so they'll throw it up there for 70% off. So I've actually haven't got a lot of money in lumber. I've had to buy a lot of new 2x4s and that, but so if you ever stop through Home Depot, check out that. I'm sure all the stores have that. But good way to get small piece of lumber. You can cut the stuff that's bowed off or the bad parts off and still have a lot of usable lumber there. So So the next step we're going to do is I'm going to start getting the roof on first, and then I'm going to do paneling on the sides. I don't have that paneling out here. I've got my plywood ready to go, but I just got some wood paneling to go on the outside of it, and then we'll stain everything with a nice solid stain to seal it up. So, all right, we'll check in here in a minute with the next. All right, so we got the roofing on the chicken coop, and this is just a corrugated type of roofing. It's not a metal roof. They gave me a deal at it at the store, so I got this instead of the metal. And it's just got these little nails here with a seal on them that you put through to get it to seal. I didn't put any felt paper or anything underneath it, so it's just plywood underneath the roof. But it's just two panels of it. They're about 4 foot by 8 foot panels of the roofing, and then there's just regular old plywood underneath the roof. So, and then you got these little rubber air vents that go in here to keep water out, but they let the air breathe through so you don't get any moisture buildup in there. But went on pretty easy. So I would have liked to have a metal roof, but we'll see how this does. If it doesn't work out, then I'll get a metal roof for it. But it is a little bit softer material. It's like I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a little bit more flexible than the metal roof is. So, but anyway, next step will be to put the paneling on the sides, and after we get all the paneling up, we'll cut the doors out and start building the doors into the front door, and then the chicken door, and then the lid in the back for the where you collect the eggs. So we'll move on to that step now. All right, so we've got all the paneling put on here on all 4 sides, and I did a little bit more work on the nesting box on the back there. So basically what we have done so far is we leveled out the area. I built the little platform to set the chicken coop on, just out of a couple 4x4s and some 2x4s framing, and pretty basic construction, not anything super tough. But we put the walls on top of the platform, and again, just real basic construction. I tried to do like 16 inches on center and stuff like that, but it's not like that everywhere, and it's definitely not like load-bearing walls. Some of it is not done exactly to code, I guess you could say, but it's just a chicken coop, so we don't care about that. So I also put the roof on here, so I just made some makeshift joists, and they're basically just notched out over the walls, and I've got 4 joists running the span on the top, and then I put some plywood on top of the joists, and then that corrugated roofing on top of that. So also the paneling that I got here, again, this is some cheap paneling. It's not a real wood paneling. I don't actually know what this stuff is made out of. It's like some type of recycled board, I'm sure. But this is the cheapest paneling that they had at the store, so that's what I got. The regular wood paneling is like 30 bucks a sheet. This stuff is only, I think, $13 a sheet, and I only needed 2 sheets of it. So I designed everything so that it would be no higher than 4 feet in any area. So the top of the wall and to the bottom is 4 feet. That way I can cut basically all my plywood. I can cut right in half and use 4-foot squares, and same with the paneling. So this will be the door right here, and I've got a piece of paneling that I'll cut out of there, obviously, that I'll turn into the door. And then I've got this little piece right down here. Sorry about focus there. I've got that little piece down at the bottom there that will fit right in the slot there, that will make a little door. And so what that's going to do is I'll have a door here, it'll swing open, and then I built this pan, and so this pan basically just pulls right out of the whole bottom of the chicken coop. And see if I can pull this out without making too horrible of a camera work here. So that pan just slides right in there, and I'm just gonna put the wood chips in this. I'm gonna get some of those linoleum or little cheap tiling or whatever to put on the bottom to keep it keep any moisture off the wood there. But basically, just be able to slide this box right out and take it and put it on the wheelbarrow, and I can just take it back and dump the whole thing in our, we'll have a separate compost pile for the chicken stuff that'll compost for 2 or 3 years before we'll use it. And then I can just come back and slip this right back in and throw some pine bedding in there and be done with it. So I wanted just to make it really easy to clean. And the little nesting boxes back here, I'm going to put a divider in, you know, each one of these, just a piece of plywood will get screwed in there, and then we'll just throw some straw in the back there. Now the nesting boxes, I'm hoping won't have to be cleaned as often, just because they shouldn't be messing in there too much. So I guess I'll just have to reach in there and pull the nesting out. So in the back side here, right now I just have a plywood top on this. I don't have any hinges or anything yet, but this will open up and be the nesting boxes here we'll grab the eggs out of. And I'll probably, because the corrugated roofing sticks up too high and it made it hard for the roof to be on a hinge, and that with that roofing, I've got some extra roofing just like I have on the top. But I'm just going to use shingles on this instead. It'd be a lot easier. I can just throw some hinges up here and maybe a little rain deflector, and then just throw some shingles on it, so keep the water out of that. But so that's basically where we're at right now. Next step we're going to do here is I'm going to throw some solid primer stain on everything and just kind of seal it all up. This has some type of a finish on it already, but I'm going to stain over everything underneath the soffits on it, and all the way down to the ground. I used untreated wood on the bottom just because it's just what I had, so I'm going to seal that all up. For those 2x4s so aren't load bearing anyway, they're just to hold in some sand at the bottom. But the posts are all treated, so but I'm going to stain everything all up with some extra stain we had left over from a project last year. And then I'm going to get some trim, and I'm going to trim up all these corners and make these look nice. I'm going to put some trim across the top there, and I'm going to put some trim across the top here and in between those joists, so that we don't have airflow coming through, and just kind of pretty it up a little bit. So next step, we'll get it all stained up, and then we'll get the trim work done after that. Alright, so we've got most everything stained here. We're going to do a second coat on it, making sure that we get everything sealed up real good and evened out. And then we'll do a trim on the corners and along the top, like I said, that we'll do a different color. But I also tried to stain some of the inside pieces as well, just to make sure anything that's going to come in contact with any moisture around the door, where the door is going to be anyway, not cut out yet, but that we get everything kind of sealed up. This is a sealer, it's a deck stain actually we bought that we didn't like the color of, but it looks actually pretty decent on the chicken coop. So that's that. We'll go ahead and do a second coat on it, and then we'll finish up the doors, and we'll give you another check in here. Alright, so we've got all the doors and lids put on, and I'll go ahead and show you kind of the almost finished product here. So these doors were cut just right out of the paneling, and I've just got these bolt latches here. The doors open up. This will be the clean out for to access the chicken coop. So this is beefed up so you can crawl in and out of here if we need to, or access anything inside. I also have the clean out door down here. So this just folds open, and then the clean out pan will slide right out. So I'm going to fill this with pine shavings, and then this will be real easy. I can just slide this right out on top of a wheelbarrow and then take that right back to the compost pile. So that just slides back in here, and everything latches up real tight and secure. I've got the door in here. I'll show you here from the front in just a moment, where the chickens will come in and out, and then the nesting boxes there in the back. Only thing I have left to do inside is to put up some perches for them to sleep on there. I also have the lid put on the egg box here in the back, and just using some gate latches here. I'm going to put a piece of rubber, flexible rubber across here, weather stripping, to keep the rain from getting in, because it does get in this little crack back here. But this, the little nesting boxes here, there'll be 3. I don't have the dividers in yet, but that's all that needs to be done. It's just a piece of plywood in here, and then that'll be where we'll come and collect the eggs. So, and then out in the front, I've got everything's pretty much finished up on the front side here. We got the awesome egg-shaped chicken entrance here, and then I've got the little chicken ladder going down And this is all made from scrap stuff. It's a little bit warped, but I'm going to straighten that up a little bit. This is all that scrap stuff I got at Home Depot. So, and then the door, I've got a little open and close here, so you can do that from outside to close that. I'm also going to put a latch on the inside to secure that shut. So, just have a few touches left to do, and then the main part of the chicken coop will be finished up. The next step here, and I'll do this in a separate video, is going to be the kind of detachable chicken tractor that I'm going to put on here. There'll be a little chicken run for them. That'll be able to roll right out around the yard and then come right back up and attach the chicken coop. So we'll do that in the next video, but hopefully this gave you some good ideas on how to set something like this up. It's a real simple project. It's 4x4. It's fairly small. Should be plenty big enough for about 6 chickens. So stay tuned for the next video to see the rest of it kind of get put together, and then I'll do a third video on all the watering and feeding things that we're going to do as well. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see the updates on it, and hopefully this found you well. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.